Hello, Dave.
Hey, Garrett, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
Today, we have a little bit of a challenge.
What's that?
We're going to do something. We have a good guest, friend of mine, and friend of the show, George Alexopoulos, GPrime85. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for this amazing treasured memory.
It will remain in your heart.
It will be indelible in your
I'll never
hippocampus.
forget.
Is that Greek?
My parents and grandparents are Greek. I'm
There you
American,
go.
I say, you know.
Yes.
So we're going to get into a little bit about George, how he got into art.
I like Saganaki.
Is that a liquor?
Flaming cheese. It's like my favorite.
Oh.
Very expensive. I think it's goat cheese that
It is
you
goat
like
cheese.
fry up.
Yeah.
Is that like
They light it on fire at the table.
really?
A
There's a
little bit
Greek
of booze
town.
on there.
Yep. There's a Greek town in Detroit, and they light it up, and
Yeah.
it is delightful. So I grew up in a lot of Greek
Well, we should have had
restaurants.
some of that. Why didn't we have any of that?
If you want a heart attack, I guess.
Just gonna
Yeah, I don't care if I die. So go on.
It's
That's
too
a
late.
good way to go.
So we're going to
It's
get
not the worst.
into what got you into art,
Sure.
your
Shot on us.
process. If you don't already know, GPrime85 has just been lampooning every single person on the internet, regardless of political angle, just for like
Attention.
a decade almost. at this point.
Oh, I thought you mean time.
Yes,
Oh.
yes.
Yeah, sure. I would say 6-ish years it started to become a thing.
It's really good.
Yeah, dude, they're
Drawn
epic.
comics for a while.
They're one of my favorite is Joe Biden removing the black from a black woman
Yeah.
because she voted for Donald Trump.
It's the source of all our power at this table.
It really is.
And there's, I went hunting. As soon as I landed, I needed some melanin, so I found some victims. I mean,
Oh yeah, that's
I mean,
Friends.
friends
We
who
call them.
wanted to lend me some of their magic. You know, it's magic, melanin.
oh yeah, I have some.
I've heard this.
Yeah, I have some already.
That's how we look so young. All
What got you into art?
That's true. You got Greek and you got, well, I got Italian, but
You
I didn't
got
get that much melanin.
Yeah, and you almost have Jewish.
Almost.
Almost, just the name, but that's enough.
It's debatable if it's German or Jewish. It just depends on who I insult, and then I say I'm that.
smart.
Yeah.
Well, you know, the smartest thing is to be near, but not in Africa. You know, the Mediterranean connection.
That's true. Yeah.
But you know, it's North African, so I don't know how much of the if we're still on the
Sicilian.
melon.
What's-
tongue. There's a little bit of, you know, I've been accused of being a mixed meat Greek.
Oh.
What
Yeah.
is that? Is that a touch of the
Non-Aryan, I
tar brush
suppose.
kind of thing?
What?
Is that a
Tar-
touch of the tar brush? You have a little bit of.
I don't know. You
He-
know,
he
people
could say
see me and they go, "Oh, he's got dark hair, you know, straight hair. Maybe there's a little bit of Middle Eastern. Who knows?
Well, you
Little
could pass for like
Turkish
anything.
action. I don't know. I can walk around in pretty much any American town and people think I'm either Latino or
Yeah, that's true. You could be Latino, Italian,
Yeah.
weirdly French, but I think it's just
It's
the
the-
mustache. But if you took that out of play, maybe not. But if you were playing stickball out in the street in Brooklyn, you wouldn't be out of place.
I would not.
Or shooting a
Astoria,
CEO.
you know.
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
What?
Hang on.
I'm
What
sorry.
happened?
What did
where,
you say?
where were you
I was
guys?
highly in
I wasn't anywhere.
here.
Just because I live near New York doesn't mean I.
Look,
us-
they got the patsy, and I'm fine. That's all.
Is your name Luigi?
Everything worked perfectly. That's a very good one.
Yeah, that guy.
Works according to plan.
I
there.
paid an idiot to wear all the clothes I had on when I didn't murder a CEO.
Yes.
Two of us are wearing hoodies. So.
Switch.
I don't
Do you
know
have
if
a
it's
mask?
related, but the Geico caveman, did you see that?
I did see that.
He just
Yes, I
shot
have.
Shot execution style,
Wow.
Inglewood on his front porch.
He
don't
was
know.
shot or he did the shooting.
I think he was shot. Yeah, he's dead. It's a lot of people in insurance. I don't know
That's
if
a
it's
weird thing to
related.
have it all connected like that.
Yeah.
But it's unconnected.
Mhm.
I always found it hard to believe that someone who can't afford insurance could hire a hitman, though.
It is crazy. You think you would just get the insurance.
Yeah.
Maybe they paid the hitman with the insurance money.
That's true.
That they didn't pay to the insurance company.
There's so many kinds of insurance that you really don't know what kind of insurance it was.
Homeowners insurance.
Life.
Hitman insurance.
Life insurance. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hitman insurance.
Hitman insurance is a big
Renters
one.
insurance. Car insurance.
Black neighbor insurance. You know that one.
Well, that's just homeowners insurance.
If your
Depends on the area.
property value goes down,
So what's going on here?
what's wrong?
We have
Well, I heard you guys needed some art therapy. You guys are disturbed individuals.
Yes.
So
okay.
I wanted to come and encourage you to draw, you know, what's in your heart and make you feel better. And I brought some tools for
I like
you.
to draw.
What do you got? I like
got
to
art
doodle. I'm a
specialist?
doodler.
Here for your skill level.
David.
Thank you.
Some crayons there.
That's what I write love letters with
Guys there. And you got
to
some-
all the other boys at camp.
some chalk that you could write on the sidewalk there and your gang signs.
Oh, yes. Awesome.
These are
You know,
pastels.
I've got pens. I've been given pens here. And you know, I want you guys to feel free to let out the anger in your
What about
hearts.
Would you like Latin
racers.
counts to celebrate how we look for the gang sign?
So yeah, what's in your hearts? What's the gang signs in your hearts? I just want you to feel free at this table. There's no judgment here.
Well, I want you to explain to
Yeah.
me, like, what is your process when you
Yeah.
when you see something happen on the internet and you're like, I got to draw something about it.
Like your goal is
Four
not
panel, like the
obviously-
classic 4-panel.
Yeah, like your
Yeah.
goal is obviously not to offend. It just might be the result, which is why
Yeah.
I like your work.
Well, you guys are better with comedy, like the actual profession of comedy. The hardest part is thinking of a joke. So
Sure.
you want to look at the news, you're fishing for ideas, and then if something pops into your head of like in 4 steps, that's one of the classic joke setup, punchline, maybe aftermath, something
Yeah.
like that.
Okay.
You do a little 3-act structure kind of thing. So you want to try to think of like what's a good joke that would fit those 4 beats. You do 4, like you could do a stick figure comic and it would still be funny. If it's still funny as stick figures, it's worth rendering.
Gotcha. Do you do like thumbnails for that, tiny
You could.
thumbnails, and then, or do you just go straight to?
At this
force
point, like I
frames.
trust myself enough to know like if it works in script form, let's say, I might write it out.
Gotcha.
I don't know if Dave, you do your
Bullet
jokes
point?
like that.
I do
points.
sometimes, or at least bullet points, and then I kind of ad-lib it on stage to see what flows naturally, but same thing.
So I would imagine like either between like your personal life, you might think of some funny stories, or you're looking at the news, you might just be fishing.
Yeah,
What makes me-
There's always like a quick topical thing you might think of, especially if you want to make like a clip, I guess. You know,
Yeah.
like I don't do it deliberately, but if it works, it works.
Yeah.
So yeah, same thing.
But yeah, pretty much the discipline of cartooning is the same thing as, you know, being on a stage, I suppose, telling a joke. It's just, you know, what's going to punch that morning. And it has to be relevant. If it's a joke that was funny a week ago, it's not funny today anymore. Like
Right.
the assassin joke, let's say we did one, not going to be funny maybe next week. If I did a Daniel Penny joke, it wouldn't be relevant in a few days. So I have to strike now. If
You got to
I
be
were,
quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to be in the, what do you call it, the zeitgeist, that at that moment. Political cartooning doesn't have a long shelf life in my experience. It has to be recognizable.
Yeah.
So it's very much like, remember you saw that in the news. How about that guy that pooped his pants on the sidewalk? You know,
Now you get a little outlandish on the internet. People hate you.
my personality is different on the internet, yes.
You have a
People
persona.
hate you. What a
No,
nice-
legit.
I do
But
get into
to the
fights
point
with people.
they hate but love you. I've seen the Reddit posts where they're like, that G Prime, I hate him, but he's so damn good.
Well, Reddit's different because they are left-leaning, you know, and they voted me as the #1 cartoonist for a little while years ago, not knowing that I was a conservative, you know. So they, I guess they were shocked that, oh man, he follows X, Y, and Z on Twitter, let's get him. He's an imposter. So they basically made it so that I can't post on Reddit anymore. Had to rebuild my career on Twitter. Took a few years.
Yeah,
Was
because
this-
they went after. Sorry, go ahead. They went after you a bit.
You know, they
At
did
the
the classic
beginning of the-
brigading thing. Anything I posted on Reddit for a time was like, oh, let's downvote the hell out of him.
Yeah.
He's a secret conservative, whatever. And I wasn't posting like political strips at that time, but I figured if I'm going to do the time, I may as well do the crime. So I bit really hard into the conservative humor side of things, where before I was way more neutral. I didn't even vote for Trump by the time, like, this was 2018. I didn't vote for Trump then, and I wasn't super into Trump, but they made it so that I had no choice but to go deeper
Right.
into right-leaning humor.
Radicalized.
Sure. Like, I'm actually a pretty neutral guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I did vote for Trump the past 2 times.
Yeah.
2016, I voted for Garrett Johnson famously.
So they push you away.
Yeah, it was very much like, look, if you're going to turn me into this caricature, I may as well play the part. So this G Prime character I play on Twitter is like very aggressive, and I pick fights with even friendly people sometimes, just to, like, I famously have been wanting a piece of Matt Walsh for the longest time. Not to mention him
Take
every
it.
time I'm on a show.
What's the
The
beef?
invitation's open. He does not respect the profession of, let's say, multimedia, comics, video games,
Yeah.
movies. I don't know about his positions, but like he's very much like the church mom of the 90s that doesn't want you playing Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. You play video games, so like, do you find that he has like a condescending-ish flavor?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Well, he said what a lot of the stuff he says is obviously deadpan, trying to make a joke and get a rise out of people. So I understand that, but at the same time, it's like video game players or people that like anime aren't a very like.
It's bigger than
it's not a
movies.
niche. It's huge.
Yeah.
It's everybody. It's a police officer that you see walking down the street. It's a veteran that was in did 3 tours. It's so many different types of people, and he like demonizes it.
Or dismisses
I don't want to say
it
that,
even.
but
Like,
dismisses it.
what
Yeah.
bothers me is like, look, we're 30s, 40s-year-old guys, even up to 50s, 60s. They make video games. These are adult men and women, work very hard. It's really hard to do. You can't just dismiss it. And famously, like he was joking about this anime called One Punch Man, if you've ever heard of it. And he was pretending like to be falling asleep in the
I'm
middle.
not. I'm a grown man.
Yeah.
Very good.
I'm kidding.
Well, no, I mean that's the thing.
Right
is
there.
No, I love art and
I don't watch anime anymore.
play
It doesn't
Tetris.
appeal to me. But like, look, 90s anime, Ghost in the Shell. You must
Oh,
have
yeah.
heard of it.
90s, that's
Akira
where
and
it's
stuff.
at. Oh, I
That's
saw all of it.
hot.
Yeah,
hot
all of
stuff.
it
It's
I
still hot. And for him to like pretend to fall asleep, I'm like, dude, especially in the conservative world, you can't dismiss media that is like leaning young. It's like the joke of animes for kids or something.
Yeah.
Well, no, those were huge.
They're
films.
so cool
Like,
still.
Yeah, you would go. I mean, it was like around the independent film boom with like Tarantino and everything. Like when you would
Yes.
go and try to find directors that were like even deeper,
Yeah.
like Abel Ferrara or whatever. That's when I found those videos. So it's like I don't think you can have a passion for film and not respect those.
And it takes an incredible amount of work. Like Miramax, I remember before all the BS, like they
Yeah.
brought Princess Mononoke, which was Studio Ghibli, who made some of the best animated films of all time. Among them is what I always recommend for people is Spirited Away, Porco Rosso for adult males. Anyway, so the amount of work that goes into animated films is so amazing, and the skill is amazing. And
The craftsmanship of it.
Yeah,
It's
so
an artistry. It really is.
I don't think that the conservative world should be dismissing it as childish. And because it's my profession, I especially take umbrage to a guy that even cracks jokes about it. Like maybe I would love to sit across from a table and be like, dude, this is a real legitimate art form. I just want you to admit that.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'll ever sit across from a table for me because he has to admit it. He has to.
I would argue that cartooning is more of an art form than anything. I mean,
It's
even
hard.
Oh
well,
yes.
yeah, but
oh,
and
yes.
even as
the craftsmanship of it, an illustrator that is very very good at his craft is amazing to me. The skill level that you need.
I don't want to do the I thing, but it's just like I loved Gary Larson when I was a kid,
Yeah.
so I sent him drawings and stuff, and he sent them back to me, and it meant the world to me, and he signed them, and they were like original Far Side things that weren't published, and it's like I've always loved that. And they say that you should even let your kids watch pretty much all the cartoons because that helps the imagination. I don't think you want to give them something that's suffocating.
There's good cartoons to give them and there's trash.
Of
So
course,
it's
yeah.
the parents' job to sift through it and know what to. Like,
We totally had Mortal Kombat.
oh, of course we did.
God, it was
We
awesome.
played Doom as kids, right?
Oh yeah.
We're
Quake
I had it on a
is
Tandy computer from Radio Shack.
on a floppy disk.
Yeah, our friends shared it, and so we just grew up. We're from that generation, and we grew up not ever giving it up as a hobby. Let's say maybe we have less time as adults.
Do you think being so viral as an illustrator and as a political artist, do you think that's changing in any way, or do you think that like en masse it's still disregarded as that's kid stuff, drawing or?
I don't think there's a lot of money in it. I can't prove it. So like you would need like a big daddy like investor to hook you up as a cartoonist, let's say. As an independent like myself, I'm basically relying on things like subscriptions or I make a few bucks on X, not a lot.
Yeah.
I occasionally get the an offer to like, oh, we want the copyright to all your stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird, there's not a lot of money in it. There's not a lot of conservative cartoonists. So like say the New Yorker on the left, you get your New Yorker cartoonists, they get their pay in New York, whatever. There's still a niche for that. There's investors for that. On the right, I don't know of a lot of cartoonists. Like I'm not the most social guy in the world, but I couldn't name a lot of conservative cartoonists.
It's like you and Stone Toss.
There's a couple of us.
How would you
It's
put
like-
Mad?
I don't know. Where do they lean?
Because Occasionally, I buy it at the airport, or I pick it up
Yeah.
from my son.
Yeah,
'cause
how's
I-
modern Mad like? What is
Some of it's pretty irreverent, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's necessarily left-leaning at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's right-leaning. I mean, it is pretty strictly parody, but a lot of it's gross out, which is what I loved as a kid.
Mhm.
Yeah.
At least with comics, that's what always stood out. To
Was it Mad? What was the other magazine that was coming
Wrapped.
out? National Lampoon?
that? National
Oh no,
Lampoon?
that was
Yeah,
before
was-
that. Yeah.
So yeah, they're around. I don't.
Yeah,
guess I don't have
National
connections.
Lampoon is weird because like originally that was essentially like the Harvard, what was it, the Harvard Lampoon?
Yeah.
And then they kind of created their own thing. I think one of the first covers was "Buy this or we'll shoot this dog," and it was
Right,
a
yeah.
revolver
Yeah.
to a dog's head. But National Lampoon's kind of sold itself out to where you can just buy the name now.
Yeah.
Because it's not a name anymore, unfortunately. But for years and years, they had very quality cartoons, articles, and then eventually movies.
Yeah. I
Kind of
guess.
the same thing that's happening in a lot of different industries, like the movie industry, comedy for a little while. It was conservatives are either completely disregarding it as a useful industry to pay attention to, or you were being shunned from that industry as a conservative, so you had to be quiet.
Well, the movie industry's not being taken seriously because if you follow an agenda, it's very difficult to create art. I mean, you can have it where like it has meaning and whatever to it. You know, I shouldn't say and whatever, but it's like a meaningful
Right.
film. But it doesn't
Storytelling.
necessarily have to be like.
You don't want to
okay.
be too heavy-handed with the message.
Yeah, you don't want to be like guns are good. This is a school shooting. This guy's a superhero, and I'm not saying
Or
that
the-
that's not
Yeah.
true. I'm just saying you don't have. I don't have to watch it for an hour and a half to tell you that.
Well, there's
Yeah.
like the corny Left Behind-ish sort of like. There's the bad guy. Let's pray at the end of the movie.
If I knew you were going to call Left Behind corny, I would
Well,
fight you on.
Maybe that was a bad example, but like there was growing up, there was those Christian movies, you
Yeah,
know.
Kirk Cameron.
The movies. Oh.
Yeah, I don't
Eventually
mean to
Nicolas
call them.
Cage.
Yeah,
Oh
but
yeah,
like,
that's right. He did do a movie. I forgot.
Oh
Nicolas
no, you
Cage
should
did one.
insult them.
No.
there should be
You were
a.
spot on, my friend.
Yeah, it should be more subtle if there's an agenda behind the
Yeah.
movie, but like it's possible to make apolitical movies. Say Die Hard, and it happens to be made by a conservative company,
Right.
Yeah.
and that's fine.
Or
That's-
written by a conservative writer.
Sure,
Or,
it
yeah,
shouldn't
whatever.
really even be a factor in the hiring process. But of course, we know like entertainment, especially comics and movies, is like owned by leftoids, let's say. Whereas I would love to be politically neutral. I would have been politically neutral if I wasn't dragged into all this.
I know the feeling.
Yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could talk about that, or
No,
listen
and
to you
I-
talk about that forever. But
yeah.
like,
No,
so we're pulled into this like centrist place where now conservatives are cool with us and like dirty jokes,
Yeah.
and they don't mind because we're just trying to entertain people.
And
That's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like it really has to do with exercising your freedom and the freedom of speech, the freedom of press, and
Yeah.
like I mean, but originally it's just art. You're not even thinking about those things. You're making your friends laugh or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it is politicized is bizarre and not anybody's fault. Or not our fault. You just kind of pushed into it.
Our hand was forced.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, what is funny is just what can shock. I mean, we're digging down to like what is the nature of humor? Surprise. It's a good setup with a good payoff.
It's
Making
yeah.
you uncomfortable.
Sure,
Yeah.
but we're in a safe place where it's okay to laugh at something inappropriate, and then we all like, oh, we were just joking around.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't need to tell you guys.
No, it's true. I mean, and I wish, you know, and I think it's good that you stand by your art in the sense of you don't mind battling with people and you want to have the conversation.
Regardless
because
of direction.
but art or comedy, not everybody's going to like my joke. Like I put up a joke the other day that I'm like, this should be getting pulled down at any minute, and it didn't.
I think I know which one you mean.
Is it the trans one?
Yeah.
Yeah, where I said stay at home and kill yourself because that's what your
But
parents
look,
wanted.
When you're in a club, it's like the Vegas stays in Vegas thing. Like you're in the comedy zone. It's okay to laugh. It's
Yeah.
okay to make jokes.
Yeah, that's the venue you're in.
We shouldn't even have to explain it. But like the left became so dogmatic for a while, it reminds me of the 90s moms, again, of like, don't play Magic the Gathering because you're casting magic spells and it's
Yes.
going to cause you to...
Satanic panic.
Sure. So it's the satanic panic of the left now. It's weird how the left was very like, with the COVID and the masks and the vaccines, where I would have thought that's a conservative move because
Yes.
conservatives are very closed door, closed window, let's keep everyone safe. Whereas conservatives 4 years ago, not even, were like, no, open the doors, open the windows. It was a weird flip.
Yeah.
I don't know, culturally, we're just watching it happen. Nobody can control it, but like there's a weird zeitgeist wind is blowing through like America. Everything's flipping.
It is,
Yeah.
and that's
Yep.
it's sort of like the, Trey Parker and Matt Stone with South Park.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we don't want this on during the day, and they're like, neither do we. We didn't make it to be on during the day.
Yeah.
This isn't, this isn't how you're supposed to digest this. We're aware of what we create.
Yeah.
And it's for the people, like you said, in that environment to enjoy it. It's like the 11-minute peeing scene they have in Team America, and like the uncut one,
Yeah.
the sex scene.
The
with-
sex scene where
Yeah.
it goes on too long.
And it's hilarious,
Yeah.
but it's like we have to rate it NC-17 if we keep it in there.
These are
But-
puppets.
Yeah.
These are fake
Yeah,
puppets. I
marionette
would say.
puppets. That's what makes it good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's who they were battling initially. It's like my friend's mom, who I saw make him take a hammer and break a Pearl Jam CD because it said the F word in Jeremy.
Wow.
And now you
That's
look at
Pearl
it.
Jam.
Yeah, and now you look at that and you're like, that's not even what's bad about the song. I mean, it's
What's interesting about that is like the word fun police is in my head now. Like
Yeah.
who's the fun police of our current age, let's
Yeah.
say. Years ago it was the right, now it's the left. I don't know why. And now like I guess it's like whatever my enemy's doing, I have to do the opposite. I wouldn't have imagined the conservatives saying like let's have rated R jokes and
yeah.
but it's like okay, as a creator, this is what the hand I've been dealt, so let's play it. I'm okay with it. I just want to make people laugh. I want to be a professional.
What's your future? What are you thinking in the future with your political comics? That's just fun, kind of your side gig. You do illustration, comic books.
Yeah.
You just recently worked with Razor Fist on his comic book series.
Yeah.
And you do children's books as well. So
Yeah.
like, what are you just thinking in the future where you might
I don't know.
professionally go?
I bet someone would pay you to design their book cover.
I would happily negotiate that deal.
All right.
But yeah, it's meme season is kind of over-ish right now
I'm feeling that too.
after the election. So
Yeah.
I think everyone's tired.
Yeah.
So I'm just moving on to the next thing, whatever. Like I could be working on an indie game right now. I'm working with a friend, doing the children's book, a second book in the series, like you mentioned.
Pull that out.
Well,
There it is.
so that's the first book in a series just for children. It's cute little,
So there's no
Gooseberry pie.
There's nothing ironic
no
or
big boobs in this.
nothing negative.
There's
I'm
no
saying this.
gross out
no,
stuff.
even though I might be known for that stuff, let's say jokes and humor, this is actually sweet and for kids and for to be read at bedtime kind of thing. I thought that there was a gap in the market for that sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Like that was a response to I think a few years ago there was like anti-racist baby. You remember that book?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
And all that like propagandist crap. And it's like, can we just make something sweet for kids again? So
Yeah.
that was the challenge.
But how do we make sure our babies aren't racist?
I think we should.
I gotta tell you, I got a nephew, 6 months. Guy
The things that comes out of his mouth.
hates Jews.
Oh my gosh.
Rough.
There's no, I shouldn't say that joke.
Yeah,
But
you
like,
go right ahead.
no, it's
I'll
funny
double.
that you see parents that are like, oh, I'm so not racist, and they hire like illegals to like push their kids around in strollers.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and
Yeah.
is that to make them not racist, or you just want slaves to push around your kids while you're at the nail salon? Like, what's happening there?
Yeah, and you're just giving your baby to anybody?
That freaks me out.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I couldn't imagine that.
No.
And it's not a minority joke. Like, I wouldn't give my kid to
Anybody.
a stranger.
No.
No.
Stuff you see on the internet? No way.
Yeah.
No, I admire that you sort of know 2 languages, but I mean, how do I know you're not just going to take it?
What'd you give up?
So that's one way to make them not racist, I suppose, is to just let some stranger push them around while
Yeah,
you're at
but-
the salon, hair
But
salon.
then all of a sudden later in life, though, now they're just dating only.
Well, they saw the hot nanny.
Yeah. I mean, once you see a Latina woman, where are you going to go from
Yeah,
there?
trust me.
Have you, Colombia? My God.
Yeah. You're
No
getting a
offense
plane?
to all the white women who are watching this. I'm not
But
even
they
sure
know.
if there's a Colombian subscriber to the place.
A few years, some kid, 20 years old, will say, like, I was pushed around by a Colombian nanny, and now
Yeah.
I got a taste for the
Yeah,
Bro,
it's all he's going to
it's,
do.
The mocha.
it's real.
And
real.
those eat through condoms. I mean, you're going to have a kid.
Yeah. They're potent.
I see what you mean.
Passionate people.
Very passionate.
Children's books, by the way. So-
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, yes.
No,
Children's
no, no,
book.
let's
is,
talk about condoms.
Gooseberry pie, not
Gooseberry
my
pie.
book.
Hey,
That has nothing to
Gooseberry
do with
pie.
any of this. If you
How
would
were
like
you-
to read again.
How were you born? Let's make a book about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mommy and daddy, and
All right.
Have you?
Accidents.
Let's
Yeah,
draw.
I saw
Let's
a
draw.
cartoon of that.
I want to draw.
shall we?
What should we draw?
I don't know. I thought it would be therapeutic for you guys to just let out your anger, your inner darkness. You know, just whatever's in your head that you can't express through words, maybe through pictures. I don't know.
Dave, you getting some inspiration?
I am.
Okay.
I got to remember
That's
something.
not fair. Do I get to look
It's
at
fair.
inspiration?
No, actually, my
Sure.
friend Sebastian's texting me, but that's...
I'm going to draw Dave looking at his phone.
Nope.
Dave.
All right.
Frankly, I have no idea what to draw.
Okay.
I was drawing cubes and circles.
Well, that's a good practice. I'm going to do a little bit of that just to kind of warm up.
Happy little trees, maybe.
Happy little
trees. One of those
trees.
things. Let's grow an afro.
Get some good squares going, some perspective,
This is great TV.
a little bit of...
Well, I'm going to make eyes first. Those are the windows to the soul.
Agreed.
That is what they are.
Okay, let me see. Let's draw like a little table here. I'm gonna draw a table.
You guys know what you're doing.
How do you block your stuff out? You just go freehand now because you're so good at it?
Well, it's all digital, so I might block it out like the way that you would do a painting, let's say, is you want to fill the whole canvas and block out the shapes. So like if I am drawing you, square around you, and then your silhouette, just shoulders, head, neck. Those are two different objects, two different colors.
Do you prefer, like I guess, I don't know I'm trying to word this right, but you have like something that's obviously very cartoony, like Beavis and Butthead or something, you know what I mean? Like, what style do you like more, sort of because I could never really crack the comic book style, at least in the sense of, like Image or Marvel or whatever. But like, what do you prefer? Like, what do you find is more fun?
I like pushing colors around like clay. So I just want to sort of freestyle, make shapes, make colors. If I'm drawing a person that it's supposed to look like someone, you got to look at reference, obviously, and that can get kind of boring. I prefer to, quote, discover the picture as you're making it.
Gotcha.
But that doesn't really work in the political cartoon space. If I'm doing a Joe Biden caricature, it has to sort of instantly be recognizable as him, let's say.
That makes sense.
But that's a little less fun, less improvisational, but it's really a question of, am I drawing for myself or for the audience? If I'm doing for the audience, it has to be, maybe I'm not going to have as much fun making it, but they have to have fun seeing it. If I'm drawing something for myself, I might not share it, but just for fun. Cartoons. Daria.
Who was your biggest influence as a kid?
Charles Schultz, maybe.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. I didn't read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes, but started with Snoopy, I think. I used to copy those. And then in my early teens, it was like a lot of anime stuff, so like Dragon Ball.
Okay.
Yeah. A lot of people start off with Dragon Ball
even
Z.
like Sailor Moon, like that came on like at 6:30 in the morning before school, and I would watch that. And I'm like, why is this different from cartoons I'm used to normally?
Right.
And I didn't know what the difference was between Japan and American cartoons, but I was so amazed by what we now call anime.
Your parents must have had the anti-racist baby book for you not to know the difference.
Yeah, it was very woke of me to enjoy Japan.
Without caring.
How strange.
Nobody had to tell you this.
That's weird.
I know. For some
Almost
reason,
like
I prefer Japanese games, movies.
Women, I get it.
Yeah, it's you grow up and you just like what you like, and you don't have to ask permission. And so that's what I gravitated towards. I never really liked American comics. I always liked manga. Video games, very big into like Japanese RPGs and stuff.
You said you're working on a video game. What
Gonna get? Oh yeah, that's cool as hell.
What are you doing there?
Yeah, we're just fooling around right now, experimenting. Could be something like a beat 'em up, Streets of Rage, Final Fight. You ever played those?
That's my favorite game of all time.
I remember
Streets of Rage 2?
you were doing Streets of Rage 4 for a while. I remember you
Yeah,
streaming
that game is so good.
Yeah, so I think we're going to do something like that, just as a test. They call it a game jam.
Yeah.
I could show you footage of it later. And we could also do an RPG, I don't know. Video games now are sort of like, so comics, I think printed comics are on the way out, in my opinion. I may be wrong on that. Have you ever heard of a visual novel?
Yeah.
So yeah, like an RPG with just dialogue can replace comics as a sort of, it's just a theory I have. let's say I have a really long graphic novel that I want to draw. Instead of drawing a book, I could turn it into a RPG with no battle mechanics, and it's just like a book
Like
that
a
you
dating
read.
simulator.
Yeah, but that's not the only genre that you can do with that. So I can tell a story. Basically, you can make social choices and affect the outcome of the game. It's an RPG in terms of your choices, but there's no combat, let's say.
Do you find that I guess it would just depend on the story, but like graphic violence is important to fun games, or do you think it just kind of matters?
Fund?
Uh, yeah, to like get actually funding behind something, like because it just seems that they've always sold so well.
Yeah.
Because we brought up Mortal Kombat earlier, and
Yeah.
then obviously, then 007 was huge,
Sure.
and then everything like things that finally involve shooters. Like, do you think, even though it might be an unspoken thing?
I read a really interesting book recently called Masters of Doom that's about id Software nearby, that how it started.
Okay.
And the reason they named it id, one of the reasons, was that it like tickles that part of your brain, the id, like in the Jungian sense or whatever. That like, I want to be violent, I want to have these fantasies. And
GTA is all that, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
the power fantasy of, if I just drove into the sidewalk, I could run all these people over.
Yeah.
Murder a hooker.
So
Exactly.
With a
that
hammer.
is,
Get my money back.
yeah, theoretically, that is something that will sell a game or a movie, is to give you the fantasy that you can't play out in real life, obviously. So that's one thing that you might argue is what sells games like that. Like if I just see footage of a game where you can go crazy and like blow up buildings and drive over people in GTA or something,
Yeah.
which they're watering down, I hear.
I did hear that as well. They're going to be
Yeah.
less crude to
Minorities and
transgenders and
such.
minorities.
Well,
I'm like, well, you should be crude to everybody. That's kind of the whole shtick
Yeah.
of the game.
so that's going to,
So you can still kill white hookers?
Yeah, those are on the table.
Well,
Well,
that's fine.
in the gaming, there was a controversy not long ago with Stellar Blade, if you remember. With there was like, oh, there's too much butts and boobs and stuff like
Right.
that. So they were
Yeah.
trying. Left-leaning studios in America are being influenced by a company called Sweet Baby Inc. And
Okay,
the long and short of it is that they don't want to quote objectify women as much. So that leads to dead sales. Whereas a game like Stellar Blade blew up because it featured, one of the features was like hot outfits for your main character.
Like the good old days.
Sure.
Mortal Kombat. We go back to Mortal Kombat.
Yeah,
That was all
and
just
look at what Mortal
scantily
Kombat
clad
did.
dudes and women.
Recently, they've been dumbing down Mortal Kombat, I hear, with like the outfits and stuff.
Yeah.
It's not as sexy, let's say, but it leads to poorer sales because it doesn't tickle that itch, let's say the violence itch.
Right.
Well, it doesn't dumb down the violence so much, but they don't have like the sexy babes and like the G-strings or whatever.
Right.
So a lot of Asian influenced games who are not taking influence from Sweet Baby, let's say. Stellar Blade, I think, is the best recent example, but there's other Korean examples. They include sexy outfits and they sell more because that's what the audience wants. And it's not for us, let's say as creators, to decide for the audience, this is what you should consume.
Right.
There's an argument to be had there. So violence can sell things. If
But it's not
that's
the only thing, right?
No,
There's
sex and
tons of
violence.
games that are just chill games that you could just
Yeah.
you could pour a lot of time into, grindy games, or you're playing RPGs and you're
Yeah.
leveling up your character. And
that's what I like.
yeah, like
I mean, I was
have you played? This is outside of the interview. Have you played Path of Exile 2 yet?
Yes, I do.
Bro,
It's good.
It's so good.
I saw you guys were playing it.
It's fantastic. It's
Yeah.
a fantastic game, and it's one of those. It's like if you have some free time, you could sit down, kill a bunch of monsters, and then level up your character and walk away.
I like a game that pushes back. I don't want to get too deep into like nerd stuff, but I don't like Diablo because it's too much like hitting balloon animals and getting piñatas. Like they drop XP and stuff.
Right.
But Path of Exile actually pushes back, and that's interesting to me. But yeah, there's all kinds of games that you can make, and what I would advise for any game developer is, look, if you have an itch that you want to scratch, make that game and see if the audience wants to play it. You can do it on a relatively low budget. Comics was the same way. Comics is a little weird because there's a lot of overhead, like to pay for printing and shipping and all that stuff. Over half of your income is going to vanish.
Go straight to that. So if
Yeah.
you're not passionate about that medium specifically,
Yeah.
It's like, what's the point of that?
Well, you got to earn a living. So like one of the questions of like, why am I not illustrating the next Ghost of the Badlands? One of the thing was like, oh, were you not able to ship the books? And it's like, look, I just didn't have enough money.
Yeah.
I can't make that business model work. So like, at least like, let's say if you're splitting with a creative partner, the pies, like the slices are even smaller. So the hardest part of being a conservative cartoonist right now is to find a way to earn a living doing it without like, quote, selling out to somebody who might like tell you what to draw versus do you know in your heart what I'm sure, Dave, you know, like with what jokes you can tell. Like you wouldn't want someone telling you what jokes you're allowed to tell and what not.
No, and I mean, like, there are those situations where, like, you do a corporate or you do something where it's like, all right, I've agreed to this. It's like any job where somebody, I mean, that's the odd thing about selling out. It's like, at some degree, you have to make a living at points.
Yeah.
But it's like, you also don't want to compromise who you really are.
Well, the very thing that makes you funny needs to be irreverent and not have rules.
By far, yes.
And then we have to put ourselves in sandboxes as well to get people to agree to support us.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a weird balancing act, and I don't know, it's different for everybody. Can you convince your audience to support you through like, say, Patreon, something like that? But then Patreon pulled me off their website, so I couldn't do that anymore.
Why?
And then you go to a parallel company, and that is also not very good.
Well, all right, so Patreon pulled me because of the general of like, you're tweeting.
Don't look
Are
at
you
my
drawing tits?
Don't look at my art.
I already drew
just
mine.
look at you.
You could sense them from all the way over
You
there.
could. As soon as I drew them, you were like,
I'm
"What
sorry,
are you drawing?"
I know. Well, everybody thought I was going to draw a dick, but I drew Grimace getting shot in the head.
And pissing
What
it.
What did Grimace do to you, bro?
Well, no, it's if the assassin didn't get caught at McDonald's
That's brilliant.
and Grimace was working there, and he got away, so he shot Grimace in the head as
He on his
well.
way out.
He also
And he
he
pissed
pissed himself and shit because when you die, you shit yourself.
Right.
So this is
right.
Grimace just thinking he's having a grimacy old day, and that's where the bullet went right through his head on both sides. So you don't even know which side he was shot from.
Could have been the hamburger. Could have been Trump working the fries.
It could have been Trump working the fries.
was
See,
thinking
that
about-
would be the good element to add.
See, there's a punchline that,
Yeah.
we just wrote a strip right there.
Yeah.
Right there.
Too bad.
It's just
we should find an artist.
It's RFK.
It's
He's
beautiful.
trying to get rid of anything. that
I
has
was
to-
drawing big anime
Wholesome.
titties.
Do you think Grimace would turn blue when he was dead? Probably not.
He would.
Probably just be a guy in a costume.
Yeah, just trying to. What?
Yeah.
There's a guy in a costume.
No,
this
no,
whole time I thought
no.
he was a real creature
it's
that
like-
was at McDonald's. I was always looking for him.
It's
He
like
never showed up.
Santa. He lives in your heart.
Okay.
That's where they get the barbecue sauce from. They,
That's right.
they have to bleed him every so often.
Every time Grimace has a period,
Wait a second.
has a barbecue sauce
So-
period.
I drew George drawing anime titties.
Wonderful.
Drew a little caricature of.
That's
George.
really good.
Drew a little.
I
little
like
ditty
it.
there.
That's a
Oh,
fine
as
drawing.
can I get a critique from
very-
the artist?
It's wonderful. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
My mouth is watering, frankly.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm even more aroused.
Thank you.
By this,
I don't like
I'm
violence,
Really, it's not fair.
but I.
He's too much. He's too good.
It's beautiful.
You
man.
tell a story. You really do. You tell a story with your art.
Our inner
I try.
psychology is coming out today, and I'm really glad you guys are. Bet you guys feel better already.
I do. Thank you so
I
much.
do actually. Thank you.
So, if people wanted to find your stuff, where would they go? If they wanted to get this book,
Yeah.
or Ghost of the Badlands, or any of the stuff that you worked on, where do they
Well,
go?
on X and Instagram, I'm GPrime85. If they want Goofberry Pie specifically, there's a link under my bio. You can go to my wife's shop. She sells like cute baby stuff and kid stuff, so that's where you can get that. It's actually like wholesome, whereas my stuff is sarcastic and bitter. You know.
Yeah, it's very cute stuff
That's
going
what I
on
like
there.
about your stuff.
Yeah.
But no, this is good for
Yeah,
kids.
it's good for bedtime. Lots of words. You can get some good bonding time in. Kids love the pictures, I'm
You
told.
should make a game. Make
I
it a
would,
little
I
side
would not be
scroller.
close to it.
That's,
Yeah. Open to it.
that'd be
But
good.
it would rot kids' brains, though.
George,
video
thank you so much.
Thank you for the
teaching
invite.
us a little bit of stuff. And
Yes.
My
having a
pleasure.
conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you.